Hello and welcome into another edition of Inside Tiger Football, brought to you by Rib Crib. I'm Adam Hildebrand alongside Tiger head football coach David Alexander. And coach, coming off of a win over Edmond Memorial, how much of the game plan last week was dedicated to working on things that you were already good at, and how much of it was dedicated to trying out some new stuff?
No, it was mostly to all right, this is what we are as a team, right? Let's polish it up and be good at what we're good at. You know, it's getting too late in the season, middle of district play, to really, try something different, try something new. Now, we'll always have some wrinkles, but it'll be also off of our base stuff from here on out.
So in terms of trying to polish things up, then, how did you feel like that went? Do you feel like you guys came out of that game in a better spot than when you went in?
We most definitely came out of the game better than we went in. It was really good, especially defensively. Maybe not so much from the execution standpoint, which I would say, yes, our execution was better, but more from alignment and assignment and doing all the tiny little things right.
And we'll talk more about alignment and assignment on the defensive end, especially here in just a little bit. What did you think the team did best over the course of that game on Friday?
Wow, that's a good question, Adam. What did we do best? Again, special teams have been just magnificent. Blocking another punt, Marion Horn on several punt returns. I thought he might take one of them back to all the way back last week. Didn't quite get there, but had a lot of great yardage in the punt return game. We're covering kickoffs. We got a bunch of madmen out there covering kickoffs, and even if when we didn't get it in the end zone, it was better for us when we didn't kick it in the end zone. We tackle them inside the 20 every time. So special teams have been just beautiful. And then, we were able to run the football. We had some big plays in the passing game. We missed a couple, but Jake Raines threw for 298 yards. That's a really good night for us.
You mentioned Marion Horn returning punts. He had a couple of more than 20 yards, but that punter was pretty good. He sent him back over his shoulder a couple of times. How challenging is that, and what are kind of the ground rules for him in terms of how far he might have to go to catch a punt?
Well, we scout him up pretty hard, right? We know about what the punter's range is going to be before the game starts, and give the young man from Edmond Memorial credit. He hit a couple really big ones, and all of them had really nice hang time. But when we decided to hold up and have returns, the guys up in front of Marion, kept the coverage teams from getting down there too quick, gave him plenty of opportunity, gave him a little green grass in front of him when he caught the ball. And he's pretty special. So, you get the ball in his hands with some open turf, made some guys miss and had some nice returns.
Edmond Memorial was kind of locked down by the defense for the whole first quarter, and then kind of late in the first half, they found a way to run the ball a little bit. How did the defense adjust after that to kind of lock them back in again?
Well, that's a good question. What did we do different? We didn't do a whole lot different. We got it. We jumped out there to a lead. And then defensively, we gave them a nice long drive. But what did we do on that drive, right? We jumped off sides on a 4th and 4 from the 50. Our sophomore linebacker jumped off sides, which, that just comes from experience. What are people going to do when it's 4th and 4 at the 50-yard line, right? They can back it, even if they take a delay of game. It's no big deal. So they're going to try to draw you off sides. So you can't do that. We missed a couple tackles on that drive. And then those things kind of add up. And give Edmond Memorial a field goal. So you just you can't have those pre-snap penalties, silly things like that.
Going back to special teams, you almost got to that field goal. Also, I'm still not entirely sure how that snuck through the guys that were there.
Well, it went all the way behind. Corey Williams he ran all the way past everybody, and he tried to block it. You slowed the film down. He tried to block it with his foot after he was already past everybody. I'm not sure how he got through. But, we let them get down there, and they earned their 3 points.
Seth Dodd, Dietrich Moore, Jadainian Floyd Wright have all continued to kind of settle into their roles now as linebackers. How did you feel like those three guys did getting another game worth of reps?
Well, I can't say enough about Jadainian, right? He's fast. He's a good football player. We've asked him to play a bunch of different spots on the defense, and he's done really, really well. Seth Dodd, amazing story. The guy's been all over the field. He's just a team guy. He's a broken arrow, lifer. And, he got us, according to Coach Hawley, Seth got us lined up in the right front and the right blitz and the right coverage every single time. Graded out 100%, which is incredibly difficult to do. And, when you have 60, 65 snaps in a game. But the young man that's really a special athlete is Dietrich. He's just a sophomore, and my goodness, his potential is unlimited, right? As the famous Michael Jordan line, right? The ceiling is the roof for Dietrich. He can do just about anything he wants.
Yeah, we've noted his athleticism over the course of these games over the first half of the season here. But where have you seen the most growth out of him? And I mean, you mentioned just a sophomore. That's a big growth year. So how has he changed the most over these first five games here?
Yeah, you have to remember, right, when they're just sophomores. The year before, they're playing against guys their age, freshman football, and he's playing against, schemes that they're not very well coached or they're pretty simple. Right, and they come up here, and now they're playing against guys that are 2 years older, in some cases 3 years older. Schemes are complex. Game is 10 times faster, and it takes them a little bit of time to grow into that. Now, he's still a sophomore, and you saw last week against Edmond Memorial, he still makes a few sophomore plays. And that's not a knock. What that is it's just it's just football experience, right? Situational awareness. Right, 4th down from the 50. Everybody's going to it's in the coach's handbook, page 1. Right, try to get the defense to jump off sides, because if you take a delay a game or take punting from the 45 or punting from the 50, it's really no difference. So those little things like that, he'll grow up, and he'll hopefully we'll get, by the time we get to the playoffs, he won't be playing like a sophomore anymore.
And essentially, it equates to the same thing as life experience, right? You kind of have to fail at something a couple times before you're like, oh, I shouldn't do that. And he will continue to grow into that role for sure. So Garrett Heinsley was named Homecoming King on Friday night as well. What does he bring to this team off of the field?
How cool is that, the football player named Homecoming King? We do things here so big at Broken Arrow. Every club is represented. This is not just a football thing. So it's been a while since we've had a football player be the homecoming king. But what that shows, because it's a school-wide vote, and so we voted Garrett captain. He's such a great leader. He lifts his teammates up. He's always going around patting the sophomores on the back and telling them they're doing a good job. He's just a great influence in the locker room, and you can see by being voted homecoming king by the whole student body. He does the same thing in the buildings here, right? Everybody likes him. Everybody respects him. So I'm really happy for Garrett. That'll be a memory that he'll never forget.
You're watching Inside Tiger Football, brought to you by Rib Crib. We'll be back with more with Coach Alexander in just a moment.
Finding your happy place is something special, and it's different for everyone. You probably already know where to find yours, and TTCU Federal Credit Union can help you get there. Right now, you can earn up to a $200 bonus when you open a new checking account with direct deposit. So wherever your happy place finds you, TTCU will meet you there. TTCU Federal Credit Union. Life is better in balance.
For families who like to build their wealth while staying liquid, we have flexible rate CDs to keep your funds working hard, even when you're not. First National Bank of Broken Arrow. The right balance.
Welcome back to Inside Tiger Football, brought to you by Rib Crib. Coach Alexander with us still, and Coach, switching over to the offensive side of the ball, Jake Raines got to throw the ball down the field quite a bit on Friday. Was that something going into the contest that you guys wanted to get him some more reps on, or how did that play out?
Yeah, we're just trying to balance it up. We knew we had some mismatches out there. JL and RJ are two big, old, tall kids that obviously very talented as well. And the great catch by JL on the first play of the football game, right? Just did a great job. And so those young men have worked hard and, try to reward them with some big catches as well. And so, being 50-50 and let those guys, do their work, man. RJ made some great catches, man. He made a couple on our sideline that were just as good as any. and then a couple nice runs after the catch.
When you hit a play like that, especially on a contested catch early in the game, how does that affect how the defense approaches trying to stop your offense and moving forward, because you've shown them that you can go downfield?
Well, it has to affect the coaches on the sidelines quite a bit. We're a 60-40 run team, and then you open the game up with a deep throw down the sidelines. The guy makes a big catch. That's got to put a little question in their thinking of how they really want to defend Broken Arrow, because if you can do that, then they really don't have an answer for everything. It's not possible.
Raines also spread the ball around quite a bit, hit 5 different guys throwing the football on Friday. What did you think in terms of him going through his reads and kind of meandering through the passing game as opposed to just launching the ball downfield?
Well, Jake's, we need him to really be able to do that as the games get tougher, the coverages get tighter. He's got to understand what the coverages are going to be and who's supposed to get the football. Coach Wilkinson, our offensive coordinator, he dual calls every pass play, right? So it's a zone concept on one side and a man concept on the other, and Jake has to be able to read that and pick which half the field and throw it. So he's done a good job, and we need him to just keep progressing as we get headed toward the playoffs.
Marion Horn, we talked about him in the kick return game a little bit, but we've seen him on offense the last couple of weeks, not only running the football, but lining up outside and in some receiver positions. What makes him capable of doing that?
Well, God decided that one, right? That when he was born, it was decided that he was going to be able to run and jump and catch and do some things that most young men can't. Sanchez, I'm going to put this back, on Sanchez Banks a little bit too. So, Sanchez is such a good football player. When we put Sanchez and Marion on the field together, man, that's really got to make the defensive coordinator on the other sidelines nervous. And, because Marion can catch it, he can run it, he's a smart kid. We can put him at many, many spots, and he'll be great at whatever we ask him to do.
Had some 2 tight end looks Friday night as well. Let's talk about that group a little bit, because we haven't talked about them a whole lot over the course of this year. What are some of the strengths of that group, and how are they able to be effective for this offense?
Well, our tight end group, and I hope, right, and that's probably Coach Alexander having an O-line background, I hope that group keeps progressing. So what makes Stieber and Wilhite, the 2 guys that played tight end so much, Griffin Stieber and Josh Wilhite, they're both long young men, so it gives them an advantage over almost everybody's going to try to cover them. If it's a secondary guy, they're going to be taller than they are. If it's a linebacker, they're going to be a little bit quicker. So, and they're big enough that they can block in the run game. I hope that you'll see them on the field together quite a bit more as the regular season grinds through. And if that happens, then by the time we get to playoffs, that'll be a really big package for us.
We saw Stieber really be able to get out and affect the pass game as well. With Wilhite on the line of scrimmage, Stieber would move around a little bit. So there's clearly some flexibility with those 2 guys, and not only the passing game but the running game as well. Now, we have not talked about the offensive line yet in this particular edition of this show. So what did you see from those guys this week? How'd they grade out?
Well, again, man, I'm so proud of Coach Harper and Coach Broyles, right? Our 2 offensive line coaches, for how they developed that group. The offensive line, they play fast and they play physical. They're not quite as big, even though we got a couple big kids up there. They're not as big as the lines we've had the last couple of years, but they can run, and they physical, and they play all the way through the whistle. And if they'll do that, continue to do that, which I know they will, Marion and Sanchez are going to continue to put up big numbers.
That's Tiger head football coach David Alexander. We'll be back to preview this week's matchup in just a moment here on Inside Tiger Football, brought to you by Rib Crib.
Recently, you've had to put your life on hold, and we're with you in this. At Ascension St. John, we're now open for appointments, and we are fully prepared for your safety and our care. As we open our doors again, our doctors, nurses, and care teams will continue to wear personal protective equipment. We've taken even more steps to clean and stringently disinfect all areas. We will maintain distancing in our waiting rooms and will continue to limit visitors. And we will still screen all staff to protect their health and yours. Our emergency rooms are here 24/7. Please do not delay care. We're still delivering babies and performing surgeries. And we're open for your appointments, from specialists in surgical care to routine care and health screenings. Ask us about virtual visits. Ascension St. John continues to care for you, as we have been for almost a century. Thank you for trusting us.
Welcome back to Inside Tiger Football, brought to you by Rib Crib. I'm Adam Hildebrand, alongside Tiger head football coach David Alexander. And, Coach, it's a Thursday game this week. You get about one of those a year with fall break. Right. How does that change your schedule over the course of the week?
It changes it quite a bit. It puts an extra load on the coaches, because we have to start working a day ahead, trying to get game plans done. And especially, it's been a couple years now in a row that we've had UConn as our fall break game, which again adds another kink in the armor, right? They're a wishbone team, they're a flexbone team, I guess, really. So running the option makes everything different. Everything about their offense is completely different than what your defense is normally used to seeing. And then a day short. I'm sure UConn loves it, but we knew what the schedule was months ago, and so we've worked a little bit on the option as we've gone through the summer. But these Thursday games, man, it's quick. It just feels like you just get done with one game, and man, you're back into practice and trying to get ready.
It used to be that the wishbone or the flexbone was the thing you saw every week, and then you saw the spread once or twice a year and had to flip over to that. Now it's kind of the opposite. So what are some extra challenges that the wishbone or flexbone offense presents that you might not see on a week-to-week basis anymore?
Well, okay, boy, we could talk about that for a long time. But, so they've, the spread and then the flexbone there's attitudes that are the same, right? It's multiple reads, right? So the spread, right? It's RPOs, and we're reading this guy and to throw it to that guy or hand it to this guy. Well, the flex bone, what they're doing is the same thing, right? Except they're just reading down linemen, and so your lineman can almost never be correct if the quarterback does a great job. You tackle the fullback, then the quarterback's got it, right? If you don't tackle the pitch, you don't have anybody on the pitch, they'll pitch it out there. So, not only do you have to be assignment correct, but you also have to defeat some blocks. And, the coach over there, Coach Reed, has done a great job. He won a state championship at a smaller level school here in Oklahoma. He's always had success, and they'll give us some problems, and we'll have to make some quick adjustments because we can't practice the speed of it. That's the thing you keep telling your defense. Hey, the fullback's only at 3 yards. And the running back, when they have a running back is back there, he's only at 4.5. And so it happens quick. You better get in your gap and you better tackle the guy. And so it'll take us a couple series to get used to the speed of what they're trying to do. And then hopefully we can hang in there and score more points than they do.
It will be very interesting to see how it plays out with the way the defensive line has moved around this year as well, and how that matchup presents itself with some of those guys being reads for the UConn quarterback. Now, what else do we know about UConn as a team? What are we expecting from them other than the type of offense they run on Thursday?
Well, okay, so first off, the two things about their team that you're going to notice is how big their fullback is. He's probably a defensive tackle that they put at fullback. He's about 260 pounds. He's a big young man, and he does a really good job. The second thing you'll notice about UConn when you see him is they're running the same style defense that we are. Coach Holly, our defensive coordinator, before we hired him, had gone and clinicked with the UConn defensive staff. So they do actually a little bit more of the unconventional stuff than the Broken Arrow does, more guys standing up and all 11 guys walking around. So it'll be interesting. And I give Coach Reed at UConn some credit. They've tried to compete in 6A on defense with some guys that aren't quite ready to stand up to the offensive lines that Broken Arrow and Jinx and Edmond Santa Fe can put out there. So, hey, you're trying something different. So you're going to see a lot of blitzes, a lot of stunts, and they will hit us for a -1 or -2 yard play every now and then. But we should be able to block them up most of the time, and so that'll be an interesting contrast.
It will only be the second road game of the year, and the first one that's not just across town. So what does a trip to Oklahoma City, Yukon look like in 2020?
Yeah, in the years of the COVID, right, 2020. So we're only getting to take a travel squad. So I've got 61 players on the travel squad, and I'm loading them into 4 buses. Okay, so I usually take roughly 100 players on 3 buses. So. Right, so I'm hoping to get on the first 2 buses. I've got mostly my offensive starters in bus 1 and my defensive starters in bus 2. So there's nobody sitting within 6 feet of each other. Now the bus 3 and bus 4, there's like 12 players in bus 1 and 12 players in bus 2. So bus 3 and 4 have got 18 and I think roughly 18, 19 kids on them. So it's quite a bit different. We'll be traveling a big caravan headed down there, but everything's different. I've got to make seating assignments and a lot more work, but it's okay. It's just part of it, man. We want to go get to play this game, and we want to be sitting 6 feet apart so we can go play the next game as well.
Just one more thing to manage over the course of this 2020 football season. That's Tiger head football coach David Alexander. I'm Adam Hildebrandt. We'll talk to you from Yukon Thursday night. Thanks for tuning in to Inside Tiger Football, brought to you by Rib Crib.